Hello Technophiles and Technophobes. Today we are going to be looking at creating a Google Form quiz from within Google Classroom. Google Form is a survey-taking app, very similar to SurveyMonkey. So first I'm going to show you how to create a new form. Second, the settings within Google Forms. Then the process, including the types of questions available. And last, how to share your new quiz. So join me and let me look at what a quiz I created right here. So this was a syllabus quiz. After my students read the syllabus, they had to take it. So this is what it looked like on the student side. And they had a multiple choice question. They had a open response question. Over here it tells them the points. The star means that, the asterisk means that it is a required question. And then they can submit at the end. So that's what that looks like. So let me show you how you can create one inside Google Classroom. So first, let's go up to Classwork up on the top here. And we're going to create a quiz assignment. Notice that Google Classroom already generated a blank quiz down here, and that's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time. Obviously, you can have a title here, section 1-2 quiz, and provide some sort of instructions for students here, something like click on the link below to take the quiz. Of course, you can add a due date, a topic, a rubric, etc. over here, but you can take care of that on your own time. So let's now edit the quiz. So when you click on that, it opens the new form. Over here, first thing I want to do, of course, is put a title here and then some sort of description. After reading section 1-2 from the book, please take this quiz. All right. Then let's look at different options we have up here. Add-ons, more advanced feature. Customize the theme if you want to change colors. As you can see, you can quickly do that. You can even add an image that you think is appropriate for the context. If you wanted to just make everything look brighter, you could do that. And it just creates an image up there. You can also customize an image as well and change the color schemes. This here is the preview. Just lets you see what it looks like from the perspective of a survey respondent or your student. And lastly, let's look at the settings here. In general, since it's a quiz, you might want to collect your email addresses. Restrict it to SBBRSD so they can't log in with their personal accounts or people outside our domain. I'm going to limit this to 1 to response because I don't want a student going in and retaking it. You may allow them to retake the quiz, and that's up to you. Edit after they submit. So if they made an error and they want to go back, and you permit that, you can do that. I usually deselect that. Summary chart, this just shows what other data already is turned in, so how students have been answering thus far, and this allows the respondent to see that. In presentation, you can show a progress bar. That's a bar on the bottom that says you're 25% done, 50% done, etc. That applies to multiple pages, also known as sections, which we will not cover in this video. Shuffle question order. That's appropriate if you have students who have Chromebooks and they're all sitting in the same class and they are tempted to look on one another, then they're not taking it in the same order. And since this is already a quiz, I'm going to leave that toggle turned on. If you'd like to lock down their Chromebooks, you can select that. If this is something the computer can grade easily, then I would probably provide the grade immediately. You're allowed to show their missed questions or not, the correct answers or not, and point values or not. Now, why might you deselect these? Well, if they were taking the quiz at home over a period of 2 hours or something, and you're afraid that students might share responses and answers, then you might want to deselect those. If you're in class, and you can observe them, you might turn these on, and then they can work through quiz corrections immediately afterwards. So for now, I'll leave those turned on. Hit save. Now let's get into the bread and butter of our quiz. So let's go ahead and start asking questions. So the first question I'm going to look at is just a multiple choice question. What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything? Here I have the type of question I want to ask. It can be a short answer, a paragraph, multiple choice, etc. So let's start with short answer, and this is what it looks like. They are going to type the short answer here. You're going to provide an answer key. So for example, we know the answer is 42, but they might spell that out, or they might spell it incorrectly without the hyphen, the dash. So maybe I'll say these are the options that I will accept, and I'm going to mark all other answers incorrect. I'm going to give this a point value and call that done. One thing I also want to do is probably require all the questions here. Why would you not require? Well, maybe you had a question at the very bottom that's an open response that says, well, how long did you study for this quiz? Not required, you just want to take some data. All right, so now let's see what the student looks at. Here's the answer, and they can say, oh, it's 41, and then they can hit submit or not, and it might provide feedback. I'll show you what that looks like at the very end after I take it and show you the responses that Google will give. So that's open or a short answer. You can make it a long answer, a paragraph, if you had a question that said, describe the steps of photosynthesis. Then that might require more than just a sentence or two. So let's do multiple choice now. Now multiple choice here, obviously, just gives me a few options. 40, 41, 42, 43, and 45. And I'll show you what that looks like. But let's select the answer, the correct answer here, and click Done. And this is what it looks like on the student side. And then they just select only one response here. Now, if you wanted them to be able to add their own response, and you click the word Add Other with the ellipsis here, ... Notice how that looks when the student is taking it. If they select Other, then they can say the answer, or the love of my cat is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So that's the option here. When I'm doing a survey for students, I rarely allow this other option because I find some smart Alex will type, like, what is your age? And then they'll say, other is 1,000,000 or something. So to avoid smart Alecisms, I don't permit that. But on a quiz, they might take it more seriously. Multiple choice. Notice we have a drop-down option also. Notice my options are still the same here. It did select 42 still as my answer. And let me show you what that looks like student side. It's just a drop-down menu, which they can scroll down further if there were more options to select. If you select the check boxes here, this allows for multiple answers to be provided. So notice the answer key here. Let me say that there are actually two answers here. And the students can now select more than one option. In fact, they can select all of them if they would like. So it's up to you if you want to ask a question that has more than one option. For example, if I said this, what are the properties of a square? And down here said it has 3 sides, it has 4 congruent sides, it has 4 congruent angles, it has 5 sides, right? Then they would select 2 of those options. So now let's move on and look at some other options for types of questions to ask. So I'm going to add a new question, and notice I'm now editing this one here with the blue. Notice this little handle that shows up at the top. I can drag this and make that the first question if I want, or drag this, make it the second question. So that's what that little handle is. It's to move things around. Notice it shows up over here too. The handle shows up so I can rearrange my questions or the answers or the particular responses. So let's look at a more advanced option here. In this question, I want them to solve an equation So what is the value of x in this equation? So I'm going to add a picture to this question here. Let me pull that up again. And I just drag and drop the picture in, and notice 4x minus 18 is equal to negative 10. You could have a picture of birds or anything else you want, a whale, and then have them select options about correct answers there. I'm going to make this one required, and I'm going to throw in a few options here. Let's say one option is negative 2, one's positive 2. Maybe they misadded things and they think it's negative 7 or a positive 7 here. And so let's show you what this looks like on the student side. What is the value of x in this equation? They solve this, and then they select the appropriate answer right there. So you can add a picture to the top of the question. It turns out you can actually add a picture to each of these options. So let's create a new question here and select the color blue. And I'm going to make this a multiple choice and show you how to add a picture individually. So I'm just going to call this one option 1. That's fine. And I'm going to do a Google image search for blue. And I'm just going to select that by double-clicking it, and notice it's attached there. So option 2. Let me do another Google search here. Type in red and select that image there. And again, clearly you can do more of these. So let's do one more and then show you what it looks like. Here's the color yellow, which they don't know yet. And that shows up there. So let's see what that looks like. Well, let me make that a required question. And I do want to provide an answer key here. Option 1 is the correct answer. Make it 1 point. And now show you what it looks like student side. So here they can select the appropriate one. Notice they can click the circle there, or they can just click the image. Makes it a lot easier. So we have a whole bunch of different types of questions. Now let's look at one more advanced type question that we can ask here. It collects a lot of data in one go. So that would be these guys here, a multiple choice grid or a checkbox grid. So let's look at the checkbox grid and see how it can make a simple looking question rather complicated. So let's see, what is true about each character from Lord of the Rings? And let's be specific, the book, not the movie. Okay, so let's have a couple characters, Aragorn. We have Frodo. We have Sauron. We have Gollum. We have Sam. We have Merry. And let's throw in Boromir for good measure. Okay, now these are options here about each character. So for example, is a hobbit. Over here is or has been an owner of the ring. Let's try that again. Of the ring. Next, tries to take possession of the ring. And the ring, and is a man. Okay, so let's show you what this looks like. Again, I'm going to make this require a response in each row. Answer key here. For example, Aragorn is just a man. Frodo is a hobbit, and he has been the owner of the ring. He doesn't, in the movie, he tries to take possession, but not the book. Spoiler alert. Sauron is not a hobbit. He has been the owner, and he tries to take possession, etc. So Gollum is related to hobbits, but he's not a hobbit, Smeagol, and he does try to take possession, etc. Merry is a hobbit. So notice that these are people, these have options. Boromir tries to take possession. Sam is a hobbit, etc. And you can attach values to each one of these, make them more weighted based on the number of check marks, or make them all equally the same. It's up to you. Now let's show you what this looks like. So the student taking the questions here, Aragorn, he's the owner, he never owned the ring, he doesn't try to take it, but he is a man. Frodo is a hobbit, he's been the owner, he tries to take possession, no, and he's not a man. So it's all this data in one single, what they call a matrix question. So you have that option to do multiple options per row. Now, what if you only want one option per row? Well, you can certainly use this one still. That's not a problem. But you can also make this a multiple choice grid. So it's the same scenario, but notice it's no longer a square. It's now a circle. And so now they can only select exactly one per row. And it could be the same option each time, but only just one per row. So you have that if you want them to force just one, or you can do the matrix where they have multiple options to select. Okay, so now we've seen a bunch of different types of questions from multiple short answers, long answer, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop down, and these are types of matrices questions where they do multiple options. Lots of data allowed in this. Let me just show you what linear scale looks like and under what context you might ask that. So I'm going to ask a personal question here. How much do you enjoy math? Okay, and put a linear scale here. And the label on 0 is, on 1 is despise, and number 5 is adore. And let me show you what that looks like right here. And it's just a question here. Oh, I really despise it. I adore it. I'm neutral, etc. So that's a linear scale, especially useful, I found, in surveys. So let's go back and see where we are. We've done the process, and now the last thing we want to do is share it. Now it turns out that this is already being shared. Notice right here, it's already attached there. So I'm going to, this is section 1-2 quiz. It's already attached right here. Now it hasn't updated yet, so the name hasn't changed, but we have changed it. So one thing you don't want to do, since it's attached to Google Classroom, you don't need to send it anywhere. But I found a common mistake I want to point out. Some people say, oh, add collaborators. Let me go ahead and start adding my students' names to this. If you do that, notice what this does it. Adding sharing restrictions, this allows people to copy it and print it. It allows people to edit the quiz. So avoid the collaborator when you're sharing it. Not even this. Down here, oh, get the link. Doesn't mean get the link and share it. Yes, get the editor link. So don't use that. Notice that teachers in my classroom are allowed to edit this by default. So I'm going to exit out of this because I don't want that. If I were to send this or attach it, I would go to the send form here. Notice it's about respondents on this one, not editors. So you click the link, and you can just copy that and put it in an email or post it on Google Form if you hadn't already created it from within. All right, so now that we've done this, I can go ahead and assign it, and it should show up now in students' streams. And this is, of course, what it looks like in my stream. Notice the quiz right there shown up. And let me show you what it looks like in the student the student stream here. Sorry about that. And here it is, the new quiz, and I can take the quiz right there. It's assigned to me, and click, 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 click through and hit submit. And there you have it. This is creating a form within Google Classroom that acts as a quiz. The next question, of course, is how do you analyze it? So let me real quick take a gander at that, and let me just provide a few answers here. And when I take the quiz, and just let you see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit submit. And now, back as a teacher, notice up at the top it says one response. So I can actually look in and say, oh, here's one response. The average is 6 out of 9 points for the whole class. So far, one person has scored a 6. Down here, this gives me the correct answers, and it also tells you quick common mistakes there, what my score was, what the student's score was, etc. So you can analyze the quiz right there. All right, I hope you found that helpful. Please provide any feedback you would like. Thank you very much.